to Fabric Monday. Today I'll talk about warehouse and database projects. In a previous video, I illustrated how the warehouse works together the deployment pipeline, but there is one limitation. If we change the schema of a table and promote the warehouse using the deployment pipeline, that table will be cleared, we will lose the data. And this is not acceptable, especially if we are promoting to a production environment. This is not something acceptable. So the deployment pipeline can work until one certain level when we can ensure that we are only adding tables, not changing the schema of the tables. But when the change of the schemas becomes needed, we need to use another solution. And this other solution is the database project. Here in my Fabric environment, I have a data warehouse, DW store, and this is the test workspace. I'm already trying to promote changes from a warehouse, from the dev workspace to the test workspace. I try to promote using the source control. It means that I made a pull request in source control to make the promotion. So I see the changes in the source control. Here, the DW store was changed, but when I try to update, it tells me exactly that I will have a problem, I will have a conflict. I can accept the incoming changes or keep the current information. I had tried to make this update before, and on the first time I tried the update, it gave me a different message, and it's hiding this message here. Unable to update from Git. Let's see the details. It's providing a data deletion warning. The data deletion warning is advising that if I make this update from the Git, which is a change on the schema, data will be deleted from my warehouse. In this case, the source control is not an option as well. We need to have a different method to update the warehouse. This different method to update the warehouse is using Azure Data Studio. We need to make the usage of the Azure Data Studio to open a database project and make the update of the warehouse. The first step we need to do is to connect to the target warehouse. We need to have a connection to the target warehouse to update the warehouse. In Power BI, I use the option copy SQL connection string, which is in fact the server name. I will copy this SQL connection string and use this in Azure Data Studio to create a new connection. Let's specify the server name. I will make an Entra authentication with my Entra ID. When I'm trying to list the database here, it's loading a list of the databases already trying to connect using my authentication. And there it is. It's connecting and I can see the name of my warehouse, DW store. I can give a name for this connection, test DW, and create the connection. So my connection to the test DW is created. This was the first step. The second step is to retrieve the SQL data project from the source where I changed the schema. The source is the development environment. Here we are in Fabric development environment, the development workspace. I open the warehouse. And in the warehouse, we have a button especially to download the SQL database project. It is this button. With this button, you can download the SQL database project. It will be downloaded as a zip file and I need to open the zip file. Here you see an example with the zip file already open. These are the files downloaded. And here I have my SQL database project. Now that I have the database project, we'll go to the next step. I need to open this database project in the Azure Data Studio. Here we have an icon for database projects. I open an existing project and open that file. Let's look for my database project, local disk C, the project and the database project I downloaded. Let's select it and open. Here I can see the tables I created. Here are the tables, and the point is that I included a new field in the table, my test. That's what creating the problem. The next step is to make a schema compare between this database project and my target server. Right-click in the database project and schema compare. The source will be the database project. I right-clicked it. Then I select the target. The target will be a database, the database which I'm already connected to, which is the W store. Okay, once I selected the target, I can click in compare, ask to execute the comparison. And here it is. The comparison is completed, and it's advising that I included one table, my test2 table is a new table, and I changed one table, including a field in one table. And the database project is capable to make this application without losing data. Let's apply it to the target warehouse. Are you sure you want to update the target? Yes. The application of the change is completed. I selected to only apply the change, not to apply the new table, because the new table has a feature which is still not well supported by the database project. What's important is the change in the existing table. Let's see our warehouse in the test environment to see how it is at the moment. Here is the test environment. I open the warehouse. My test is the changed table, and here it is. My table still has the record. It had only one record, and the new field is included in the table. In this way, the database project is capable to make the update of a schema in a warehouse without losing the data of the warehouse. The traditional tools, a merge on source control or a deployment using deployment pipeline, will lose the data. The database project will not lose the data. Now that I use the database project to solve the most complex part, the change of the schema, I can do the rest using the source control. Update all, accept incoming changes. The message may be scary, but the new field was already created, so we are not expecting to lose data in this situation. Let's check the warehouse again. And here is the warehouse. Let's open tables. My new table is here, my test2, the added table. And let's check my existing table. The record was not deleted because I synchronized the schema using the database project. In this way, we solved the problem, making the promotion of the new schema from the dev environment to the test environment. Let's summarize what we saw on this video. This is a huge advance in comparison to the last video about this subject. When I recorded the previous video about this subject some time ago, the database project was in a beginning stage. It was not capable to do all this. Now it is. Azure Data Studio is about to be deprecated. This is not a good news. The idea is that it will be replaced by Visual Studio Code. But why didn't I demonstrate this video using Visual Studio Code? Because it's not that easy to make the schema comparison in Visual Studio Code as it is in Azure Data Studio. I hope it will get improved soon, but at the moment it's not that easy. Thank you very much for watching and see you next week.